Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight, it was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I've never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toad Stool Sports. This is the NFL show for week 15. And I know I talked about how confident I am in this board here. I'm going to give out 3 plays here. I feel pretty good about my opinions on these, and watch this entire week go to hell, man. That's what's going to happen. Some of these later weeks I do tend to do pretty well because, fading the public tends to work a little bit better because the books have kind of refined their numbers here, so the numbers are more fine-tuned, and, well, they have to kind of skew them towards where the public is as well. So, that always kind of works, but as the season progresses, it works a little bit more. That is the hope, at least, and obviously, I'm going to be fading the public pretty much all across the board here, and hopefully I'm going to get these games right because I have an opinion on pretty much all of them. Charles, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. That's why I tell you to not parlay, because 5-1 NCAA basketball day, absolutely destruction on the day, although every single underdog failed to win outright. Thanks, West Virginia. The other ones I didn't expect to win outright, but whatever. But yeah, that's why I never parlay, because 5-1 is a massive win, and one loss can take an entire parlay out. So, and you don't get good enough odds on the parlay. So yeah, Mr. Pinsey, what's up? Toledo scoring by the half. I haven't looked at that game at all. I don't even know what we're talking about. College basketball, I assume. -1.5. What did you? So wait, you took -1.5 on the full game, or what are we talking about? I don't know. I'll have to look at it later. We're going to get right into NFL. I'll talk about today, tomorrow, because I think the Thunder are going to be a loss, but I think it's not official yet, but whatever. NFL, we're going to get right into it, man. I'm going to have a bunch of plays here. Looking at the board, first game up on the board is a play for me, so I'm going to hold that until the best bet segment. Next up, 1 p.m., I'm glad that we don't have any more Europe morning games, at least. And by the way, we don't have any more buys. So just gays now and straights, I guess. So all the teams are playing now, week 15 onward. I'm on a bye in my main league in fantasy. That's about it. The teams that are coming off of buys, by the way, are New England, Carolina, San Francisco, and who am I missing? There's one other one in here. I can't even remember who it is. Isn't that just awesome? Who else is coming off of a bye? It's, definitely New England, Carolina, the Niners. There's one other one in here, but I'll figure it out. Oh, the Giants. Yeah, the Giants, of course. All right. We forget that the Giants even exist, even though I'm technically on a Giants podcast. 18-point lead at the half, and then they lose the game? I hate that. But that means that the coach on the other side made some huge halftime adjustments pretty much. All right, Raiders-Eagles. I'll talk about this game first. Eagles are 12.5-point favorite. The line really hasn't moved that much. 88% of the tickets on the Eagles. Obviously, they're going to be really Public wants nothing to do with the Raiders, and obviously they'll still be on the Eagles train, even though they just saw the Eagles lose on Monday night. They consider that to be like, I think, a decent loss, even though it was kind of ugly. The Eagles were about to win that game in overtime and threw an interception at the goal line. So, yeah, the Eagles, they had a lot of turnovers in that game, man, but so did the Chargers. But, yeah, the Eagles are going to be public regardless. I mean, they're the Super Bowl champs, whatever. But the Eagles are on a short week coming off a big game. And the Eagles, I don't know that they really pay attention to the Raiders here at all, man. Like, the Eagles also don't cover big numbers. Like, look at the Eagles' wins this year. They won by 4, 3, 7, and that was only because they blocked a kick and returned it for a touchdown against the Rams. 6, 6, 12, so even against, or excuse me, 18, I can't do math. They're covered at home against the Giants. That was the only one where they covered a number like this. 3 and then 7. So they've only won by double digits one time this entire season. So would you really want to put your money on the Eagles winning by that margin on a short week? Because I wouldn't. And then their remaining games are all bigger, basically, against Washington. I mean, at least that's a division game, even though Washington is done for the season. And then they do a Buffalo there and then Washington again. But I don't see the Eagles really taking the Raiders seriously at all. Raiders are coming into this game playing horribly, of course. They did get that weird field goal at the end of their last game to cover in the closing seconds of that game against Denver. But, by the way, Geno Smith got hurt in that game, or maybe he's just bad. I don't know. Is he bad or injured? I don't know. But it sets up, we now have an injured player theory spot here for the Raiders. Kenny Pickett is going to be making the start here. And as you can see right here, here's his picture. Sexy stud Kenny Pickett right here. I always talk about the injured player theory spot. When the team loses their starting quarterback, the line has to adjust, although in this case it hasn't even adjusted. So the odds makers are basically like, we don't even care who the Raiders quarterback is. It doesn't even matter. But Geno Smith has been terrible. So, I mean, Pickett could potentially be an upgrade. I mean, but that's what we got here. And, I talk about with the injured player spot, like that is actually a reason for the team to come out with some amount of intensity, you know what I mean? Because they want to play for the young guy, for Pickett, although he's been around for a few years now, but that also means he does have experience, so he's not coming into this game cold. He started NFL games before. And by the way, he started, I believe, at least 1 or 2 games for the Philadelphia Eagles, so Kenny Pickett is getting to play against his former team here, man. So I think he's going to get up for it because Philadelphia let him go. So probably a little bit more motivation for Pickett. I think maybe the Raiders will step up and try to play for him. They're playing against the returning champs, the Eagles. So should be a big game for the Raiders, even though I know, it's one of these early games where they have to travel to the East Coast. Yeah, but I always talk about how that's like an overstated thing, man. Like you get up, you're ready to go. I mean, you get up in the morning, you got your energy, like the East Coast team going west is worse, in my opinion. And we saw that be bad again with Philadelphia losing on Monday night. So all that being said, that means I like the Raiders plus the points in this game. It's not on my card, but it's also a really, really low total of 38 because the Eagles, I mean, their offense has just really, really struggled. So, again, I mean, I think it is going to be a somewhat lower scoring game here. That's better for taking a huge amount of points. So, I think Raiders plus the points is correct in that one. Yeah, he's scrumdiddlyumptious for sure. Aries, what's up, man? 1 point PPR, is that what we're talking about? I mean, I'm not exactly a fantasy expert, although I play fantasy expert. I do all right in it. You have Stevenson, Walker, Dowdle, Hubbard. Does Hubbard even still play? I don't know. I have Dowdle on my team, by the way. Singletary and Burden. We're talking about you need to play 3 of those guys, I'm assuming, right? I would say Dowdle, you probably want to get in there. He's playing against the Saints, so I mean that's probably the way to go. Hold on, let me. I'm gonna look at these numbers real quick that I use. Hold on. I'll give you what I think really quick here, but don't yell at me if I don't get this right. Obviously, let me see. I'm gonna look at. I apologize for you guys who want my NFL plays. I'll get back to that in a second. But yeah, Raiders plus the points. I lean in that game. I don't know why the website that I use like completely changed, and now I'm looking at like they don't even have like an option to look at. Oh no, wait, here it is. All right, we're looking at it now. Running back. We're gonna look at PPR projections here. I'm looking real quick here. They're all running backs on that list, right? So we got Dowdle. I don't know why I don't even see him on this list. What is happening here, man? Hold on. Yeah, there's Dowdle. All right, so you have Dowdle. I probably wouldn't mess with Singletary versus Tracy. I mean, you don't really know which one of those guys is going to do anything. I don't think I would play Hubbard either because Dowdle gets the play there. You know what I mean? Let me see here. I'm trying to find everybody on this list here because I can't really search. I would say you're going to play Walker. I would play Walker, Henderson, and Dowdle. That's what I would do out of those three. Yeah. Yeah, correct. Yeah. That's what I would do. Walker, Henderson, Dowdle. Props, what's up, man? Do what the fuck you want to do. You're Black Santa Claus, right? Now you're some other black guy, though. I don't really have my eye on props, man. I'm not really a props guy. I'm just really a sides guy. I like women's sides, man. That's pretty much it. I don't give them any props. I don't really have my eye on any props at all, though. I apologize. All right, next up, we do have Jets, Jaguars, and as you'll notice, this line has moved from the look ahead was 9.5 is what it was going to be on the Jaguars, and now it's 14. Well, why is that? It's because the Jets have been downgraded 4.5 points because of them looking horrible last week, the Jaguars looking awesome last week, and the Jets are now switching quarterbacks again. So that combination of those three things has shifted this line to 2 touchdowns, which, I'm going to say I think that's an overreaction. 71% of the tickets, 83% of the cash on the Jags for now. I think those numbers might move by the time this game kicks off. Now, the worry for the Jets is that new quarterback is going to be Brady Cook. He's going to be making his NFL debut. He is the former quarterback from the University of Missouri. He is young. He's pretty new to the NFL, and this is going to be his first start. So I don't really love jumping on teams with their quarterback in their first start, because otherwise I was definitely eyeing this game as far as potentially playing it. Like if this was going to be Tyrod Taylor in here again, or maybe even Justin Fields, I might be giving out a play on the Jets here, but I don't quite think I can get there with it just because it is Brady Cook and you don't know what you're going to get out of him. Although the advantage will be that there's no game film on the guy, right? So there is a little bit of an advantage in having a rookie quarterback out there in his debut because the opposing defense will have no idea how to game plan, right? Although it's not like the Jets are going to completely change their scheme over the course of 1 week, right? So there is that too. But still, the Jags won't really know exactly what the Jets offense is going to look like with Cook at the helm. The Jets are coming off, of course, a horrifically ugly loss to the Miami Dolphins, 34-10 in New York last week. Tua actually able to get the job done in a cool weather environment. It wasn't that cold, though. It was like in the 40s out. So Miami was able to get the job done there. It was an embarrassing game. Jets had 3 turnovers in the game, too. They were -3 in turnovers, which made the final score even worse, even though Miami did dominate them statistically as well. But the score looked even worse because of the turnovers. I think the Jets will bounce back, and the one good thing about having a quarterback making his debut is that means the team's going to put in an effort. Because, like, the team's not going to have a rookie quarterback making his debut and just completely slack off. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to want to play for this guy and try to get something done here. So I think that is a motivational angle for the Jets. For the Jags are coming off that massive win against Indy, but we know Daniel Jones got hurt in the game, so that made it worse, even though I don't think Indy was going to win anyway. But I also pointed out last week that Indianapolis has not won in Jacksonville since 2014. So Andrew Luck was the quarterback the last time Indy won at Jacksonville. So Jacksonville, they dominate Indy at home, man. This Jags team, they're an all right team. They're kind of an enigma. Like sometimes they look really good, sometimes they're awful. This just looks like a bad spot to me, man. They're coming off a huge divisional win, which, by the way, put Jacksonville in sole possession of the AFC South. Plus, it knocked Indianapolis completely out of the playoffs and knocked Indianapolis' quarterback out. So Jacksonville, they're going to be feeling, I think, pretty high off of that win. And speaking of high, they got to go to Mile High next. So they have a huge game next week against the Denver Broncos. And then they have the Colts again after that. So they have big games coming up, man. So this is a sandwich spot, in my opinion, for Jacksonville. So I would take the points with the Jets. You're getting 2 touchdowns now, and the total is also fairly low at 41. And for the Jags, I mean, I know they've had some wins by margin like that, but to me, they don't really strike me as a team that just does that often. As you can see here, they really kind of haven't done that. I mean, more than half of their wins are, I think, not by a margin like this. So something to keep in mind there with the Jags. But yeah, I would take the points with the Jets in that one. I think you could potentially argue the Jets are the better defense too, getting a bunch of points. This one almost made my card, man, and it probably will land in my pick 5, where I have to pick 5 games. The super contest equivalent that I'm in for money. Right now, I want to stay in the money. The Jets might make it into there, man, especially if they're giving me 14, but I don't know if they are in that contest. I'll have to look. But if you're getting 2 touchdowns, man, that key number there, yeah, the Jets are the only way that I could play that game. I'm not going to lay the points in that one. William, what's up, man? Yes, it is a sandwich. All right. Next up, we have Browns-Bears is going to be another one of my plays. You guys already know what my plays are going to be in these. And Bills-Patriots is my other one. So we're going to get all of this done in the 1 p.m. slate. All 3 of my plays happen. Also in the 1 p.m., we have Ravens-Bengals. And the public looks like they're going to be siding with the Bengals here, getting 3 points at home, man. 63% of the tickets, 72% of the cash for now. But I think you might see this shift around at game time. So I know I'm kind of fading a lot of the market reads this week, but I am going with my situational handicapping, man, for most of these. And I have an opinion that is probably not going to change on most of these games, including this one. I do not like the Cincinnati Bengals in this one, man. Cincinnati, I mean, they're not going anywhere this year. And yes, I do talk about how when you have a team that's done for the season, one of the games they're going to get up for is a divisional game where they could spoil their divisional rival season. That does apply here, yes. So that's why I'm not going to make Baltimore a play here, because I do think Cincinnati will show up for this game. I mean, it's against the Baltimore Ravens. But look at their last couple of games, man. They beat this Ravens team in Baltimore as a 7-point dog on Thanksgiving night, and that was a loss for me on the show, I know. But if you look into this game, it was completely misleading. Baltimore had 5 turnovers in the game. Lamar Jackson just completely threw the game away. Cincinnati did outgame Baltimore, but not by that much. And Baltimore, -4 in turnovers, just completely threw the game. So that was a misleading result. Baltimore, by the way, got screwed by a fumble into the end zone as well for one of those turnovers where they were about to go up 8 points in the second quarter with that touchdown, and instead it's a fumble through the end zone, and the entire game swung on that play. So I hate that touchback rule. It's absolute bullshit. You should not be an inch away from getting a touchdown and then have the opposing team get the ball and have it be like a 2-score swing. It's just such ass. But yes, that game was not what it appeared. It was a huge win for Cincinnati. And then Cincinnati had to play on the road again last week in Buffalo, and they almost pulled off the upset in Buffalo. So now they're coming off those 2 huge games. Now they get Baltimore at home. And this is a divisional angle that also works, where when you have a team that in the first divisional matchup, they lost as a home favorite like Baltimore did, they're actually a really strong play to play them on the road in the next game, especially actually if they're a small road favorite, and that is what Baltimore is here. So I do like Baltimore in this game. Baltimore also is coming off an ugly loss last week. After that loss to Cincinnati, Baltimore could not redeem themselves, and they lost to Pittsburgh last week. But you remember, Baltimore probably had that game won, dude. I mean, I thought that was a bad call. Likely, I thought had the touchdown, and that would have won the game for Baltimore, although they wouldn't have covered. But this game was also misleading, too, because if you look at what happened in this game, Baltimore outgained Pittsburgh in this game 420 to 318. So this final score was very misleading. Baltimore was much, much better in this game than the Steelers were, and the Steelers keep Mike Tomlining their asses into wins here, man. I mean, I don't know how the Steelers keep winning when they get outplayed. It's like the Mike Tomlin factor. I don't get it, man. But I think this is going to be definitely a huge game for Baltimore and bounce back spot. I do worry a little bit that the pressure is on because these high pressure situations when you have to lay a favorite price, I do worry about that a little bit because it's basically becoming a must-win territory here for the Ravens. But I still think the Ravens are one of the top few teams of the AFC, believe it or not, and they are lined that way. So I do like the Ravens in that game. That would be the way I would look there. New thoughts is Clint and I called Darnold what do we call him? No, I think Darnold still sucks. He has a QBR of 60 on the season, which is terrible. And not terrible, but certainly not good. And over the last 4 games, his QBR is 40. He's actually ass, dude. He's not good. These defenses that just know, defenses that put pressure on him, he turns into a complete pumpkin. He's done, dude. Darnold is done. He's not good. No, I mean, their defense is really what's good about Seattle. I underestimated their defense. Darnold is not that good. I'm telling you. Again, go look at his stats. His touchdown-interception ratio is absolutely terrible this year, too. It's last I looked, it was 19 to 10. Not impressive at all. We're going to talk, how I feel about that game already this time, too. Chargers-Chiefs is the next game up at 1 p.m., Huge game for the Chiefs. 51% of the tickets on the Chiefs, 52% of the cash on the Chargers. Chiefs are all the way up from a 4.5-point favorite to a 6-point favorite. And you got to think the public is going to be looking at this. They just saw the Chargers beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Chargers already beat Kansas City once in week 1 in Brazil. And you look at the team's records, the public wants nothing to do with the Kansas City Chiefs at this point, man. But you got to be thinking, how are the Chargers getting 6 points in this game, right? Well, the odds makers are telling you the Chiefs are still the better team. I know I lost on the Chiefs on the Sunday night game. I know. But the Chiefs are not this bad, dude. I'm going to keep saying it. They have the better defense here. They're at home. They're 5-2 at home. They've been much better at home. The Chargers, they're also going to be going into what I assume is going to be a really cold weather environment. Yeah, it's frigid temperatures, 17 degrees here. Do you think an indoor team from LA is going to really enjoy having to go to Arrowhead and playing in 17-degree temperatures, which probably with the wind chill, you're going to be looking at 0 in this game? Yeah, that doesn't look good to me for the Chargers, dude. So I think that is going to be a factor that should not be overlooked. Chargers are coming off beating the Super Bowl champs, now Philadelphia. The Chargers are almost essentially locked into the 2 spot in the AFC West at this point, man. Even though, yes, this is a big game. Ideally, they would like to beat the Chiefs again, but on a short week like this, Kansas City going to be in complete desperation mode. I'm not going to make it a play, but Kansas City has looked bad in front of a public audience 2 games in a row as well. So you also want to look towards teams that look bad in primetime games, and that is what happened. So they lost on Thanksgiving at Dallas, and then they lost again for us on Sunday night. And the Chiefs, they could have won this game, dude, fairly easily. The game was 10-10 in the fourth quarter, I'm pretty sure. And Kansas City threw the game away with turnovers. They actually outgained Houston in the game, although not by much. It was close, but the -3 in turnovers completely did them in. So if I was going to play this game, I would lay it with the Chiefs. I don't really want to lay 6 with the Chiefs because the Chiefs are more of a defensive-oriented team. Chargers do like to slow the tempo down. Total is fairly low and down to 41.5, so I'm not going to do it. But if you force me to pick a side here, I would lay the points with the Chiefs in that one. But you have lost a little bit of value on it as well. But that is the way that I see that game. But again, desperation mode, I don't really love laying points, although really for the Chiefs, I mean, their percentage chance to make the playoffs is so low now that maybe they'll just start playing a lot looser, you know what I mean, now that they think they're just not going to make the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. The final 1 p.m. game, Redskins, Giants. This is the hardest game for me to figure out. I can't figure this one out. I have an opinion on pretty much every other game on the side. This one, I really don't. Giants have flipped from a 2-point dog to a 2.5-point favorite, but I think that was mostly because of the quarterback situation where Jaden Daniels came back last week. He got hurt again, and he's done again. I think he's probably going to be done for the rest of the season. So now Marcus Mariota's back in again for Washington. But do you think that really warrants flipping the Giants from a 2-point dog to a 2.5-point favorite and maybe upwards of 3? I don't really think so. Giants, 73% of tickets, 77% of the cash on them. But well, so I guess I do have a slight opinion on this one still, but yeah, I think that the line is just like, it's an overreaction, dude. I mean, Mariota has basically outplayed Jaden Daniels this season. Like, Mariota's played every game for a while up until last week. He played like 6 weeks in a row. So do you really think Washington's going to be at a disadvantage just going back to him again? He finished the game last week, too. So Mariota, I mean, he's in there, and he's actually played fairly well this year for Washington. So I don't think he's a downgrade at all. And I would argue that he might even be an upgrade from Jaden Daniels, as ridiculous as that sounds. So I don't think this line move is warranted. It is a positive spot for both teams. The Giants, like I said, they're coming out of a bye. And I talk about this when a team goes into a bye on a bad note, and the Giants could not have gone in on a worse note, really. They lost 7 games in a row, including losing to New England, which was a win for us on the show here. New England covered for us. Going into the bye on a bad note like that, I think it's a good thing to use that. You use that bye to fix things. You know, it stops that losing momentum. So it is a positive spot for the Giants. The Giants did lose the season opener pretty ugly, 21-6 at Washington. So it is technically a revenge spot, a divisional revenge spot. But I think when the home team is the avenging team, I don't think it's as strong. Like, because, I mean, a lot of times you'll see if the team won at home, a lot of times they will win again on the road. So I don't think it's as strong as when you have the avenging team being a road underdog. That's really like kind of the sweet spot. Or the Baltimore situation where the better team lost at home in the first game. That's a sweet spot as well. This, not so much, but I do like the fact that they're coming out of a bye. And part of the reason why we faded the Giants in that New England game is because Jackson Dart came back. So it was a reverse injured player spot in that game. So now Dart is going to have his second game back. And I talk about how teams, like with the quarterback, the first game back, they tend to not do as well because he's got to get like used to it again. The team has to get used to playing with him again. But that second game back, they usually do play better. And the fact that they have a bye in there for Dart to get some more reps and whatever, that should help them. So I'm not going to come in on Washington in this game either, although I do lean to Washington still. Washington is in a spot where they're coming off getting shut out 31-0. That was a win for us on the show last week. I've had a good gauge on Washington the last couple of weeks, man. I know we lost on them in the London game, the Madrid game, which we should not have. Washington should have won that game outright against Miami. I'm still pissed about it. They missed the plus 2.5 by a half point there. But then we did get them right coming out of the bye. They played really well coming out of the bye against Denver. Almost pulled off the upset on, Sunday night, I think. And then because of that, I think they were in a major hangover spot last week. Plus, Jaden Daniels was coming back after a long layoff. So I said you got to fade Washington last week. Didn't expect it to be 31-0, of course. We got the win with Minnesota. But now the fact that Washington's coming off that, teams that have been shut out in the NFL this season, they're 4-0, I'm pretty sure. Both, I think, straight up and against the spread, coming off getting shut out. So teams that get shut out bounce back really well, typically in the NFL. So that is the spot that Washington is in. You don't even need them to win, really. You're probably going to be getting 3 points on them. And if you look at what happened in this game, Washington exacerbated the problem with 3 turnovers in the game. Jaden Daniels got hurt in the game. You know, everything just kind of unraveled for Washington, but they're not really as bad as they looked in that game, man. And it's not like the Giants are exactly good. So I think Washington probably is the right side in that game. But that's that game is one of the ones that I have the least strong opinion on. Going into the 4 p.m.s, Colts and Seahawks. Now, you can see how this line moved, man. This line has moved from what was going to be Seahawks minus 3.5 to 14. I mean, come on, man. You have to be kidding me. You really think that the Colts losing Daniel Jones, is that really worth, what is this? Like, is it worth the line moving 10.5 points? Are you kidding me? No. Like, no quarterback is worth 10.5 points. And Daniel Jones, I don't even think he's that good, even though he was, top 5 in some quarterback metrics this year. But he had started playing with a broken fibula, and then he got hurt even worse in the game against Jacksonville. So now he's out. But I don't see how Daniel Jones is that much of a drop-off for any team. And yes, I know the Colts are going with Phillip Rivers tomorrow, man. Phillip Rivers, 44 years old. He's been retired for like 4 years, and he's coming out of retirement. And now he was going to be eligible for the Hall of Fame next year, and now he's not going to be eligible for 5 more years because he's coming out of retirement to play this game. So I can't quite get there with the Colts here, man, but I would take the points with the Colts. I mean, there is absolutely no value on the Seahawks here, laying 2 touchdowns when they were going to be laying 3.5. I mean, seriously, you have to be kidding me with this number. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I do worry Phillip Rivers. I mean, he's coming in off the couch, so I do worry about that he doesn't have enough reps. But the reason why the Colts signed him is because he's played in the Colts system before, so he does know the system. But then again, like, are the Colts gonna throw some wrinkles in here? Maybe they will on offense, because really the Colts don't really have much to lose at this point, because it looks like they were guaranteed to make the playoffs. It now looks like they're out of the playoffs completely. So I think they're really just going to be free rolling in this game. You don't know what you're going to get out of them, and maybe with Rivers in there, maybe the offense is going to do some weird things, and maybe the Seahawks won't really know what to do to defend it. I mean, I'm not going to say the Colts offense is going to be lighting it up or anything like that, but you don't need them to cover as a 2-touchdown dog. I just think this is a spot where the Seahawks are just going to take it easy and get in, get out, man. Like, I don't love the spot at all for Seattle here. Seattle's coming off a blowout win as well in Atlanta, so they're having to return from the East Coast out to the West Coast, so they're flying cross-country, which isn't that great. And they looked way too good against Atlanta. And that is going to look even better because Atlanta just won on Thursday night against Tampa Bay. So that makes Seattle look even better. Oh, and by the way, what does Seattle do next? Yeah, they got to play the Rams on Thursday night. And that game is basically going to be for the NFC West. And it's revenge because Seattle lost at LA already. So that is a huge game. And with the four-day turnaround time, I think Seattle's going to look right past the Colts in this game, man. So the only way that you can play this game is to take the points of the Colts. That and the Colts looked awful in Jacksonville, but I already pointed out how the Colts they are miserable playing in Jacksonville. That's just, it is what it is, and they lost Daniel Jones in the game. Horrible game, but you always want to look to play on teams that look terrible in the previous game and against teams that look way too good. And that is also what you're doing here. Here's, the young man, Phillip Rivers, coming in, man. He gets to take a break from having to deal with his 11 children or whatever he has now. Here we go, baby. Phillip Rivers back for my Indianapolis Colts. Oh, my God. I can't believe it. This season, I didn't think they were going to do anything this season, really. And now they're not. So there you go. We're right back where we started. This total is also dropped to 42.5, partially because of the Colts. I mean, mostly because of the Colts quarterback situation. So total is lower now. Yeah, Seahawks, 76% of tickets, 87% of the cash on them. But I'm not going to buy into that very much. I think taking the points of the Colts has to be the way that you play that game if you're going to do it. That one almost makes my card. Very, very close to making my card. You got the Colts at 14 already. There you go, man. You might even be able to get 14.5. They're going to be free balling. Phillip Rivers is going commando, man. Dude, that should be Washington's team name, the Washington Commandos. That would be better than the Commanders. Horrible team name. All right, what else do we have here? We have nice big game. Or no, wait, I'm skipping a few games. What am I doing here? Actually, this one's also a good game. Packers-Broncos. Now, this is an interesting one because you can see here the Packers are a road favorite at the Broncos. And the Broncos, I believe, I want to say they're undefeated at home this year, right? Yeah, they're 6-0 at home. Although the Packers have been pretty good on the road, 4-1-1. But it's like, how could Denver be a small underdog at home when they have the better record? And they're undefeated at home, right? So the public is going to come in on the Broncos in this one. 59% of the tickets, 58% of the cash, it looks like right now. So this is a rare situation where you have a public home underdog in this one. And I always talk about how when you see that setup, you want to look to fade that team. And that is what I would do here. I would lean to the Packers here. The odds makers are telling you the Packers are the better team. Broncos, I know their record is good, but the Broncos have really gotten by with a very easy schedule. I believe the Broncos have the second easiest schedule in the NFL so far, with the Patriots having the easiest. And the Bears are up there too. But the Broncos, they've gotten by with an easy schedule so far. And yeah, I mean, that is just, that's the crux of it, really. And Denver also is, I mean, they're sitting at 11-2. They're sitting really pretty atop their division right now. So Green Bay has more urgency here because Green Bay's in a cluster in the NFC North. They really got to keep winning. Denver really has some padding there where Denver does not have as much urgency. I know Denver's coming off a game where they were just kind of whatever, and they beat the Raiders. So, you know, not really a great game for them, whatever. But in this game, man, I do expect Green Bay to show up. And yes, you could argue that Green Bay is in a sandwich because they did just beat both Detroit and Chicago. They've actually won against all their division opponents in the last 3 games, beating Detroit on Thanksgiving as well. Huge win. And big win last week to beat the Chicago Bears, man, and knock the Bears down behind them. So yes, I do agree there is maybe a little bit of a worry about a letdown here. They do have the Bears again next, which is going to be another huge game. I understand that they're in a bear sandwich here, which not great, man. The last time I was in a bear sandwich, I was at a gay bar. So I don't know. It's not the greatest situation to be in. And yes, they are having to go into elevation here, which I do worry about a little bit. So this one doesn't make my card, but my opinion in this game is Green Bay. However, I would also say that if you wanted a teaser option, I actually think the Broncos teasing them up above the touchdown is actually a decent option. If you see the Broncos at 1.5, you would have to find it at 1.5 or better. So if the Packers are minus 1.5, and you can tease the Broncos on a two-team 6-point teaser up to 7.5, I do think that's a good teaser leg because the Broncos, they play a lot of close games, man. That's just the way that it is. They're pretty much all defense and no offense. So I don't mind a teaser on the Broncos. I mean, I don't really think they're going to lose by margin, but I do think the Packers will escape with a win in that game. And I don't really know what the other teaser leg would be, though. Like, I would have said knock the Cowboys down from 7.5, but now that they're 5.5, because I don't really think the Cowboys are going to lose. But now that doesn't look like a good option anymore. So, I mean, I struggle to find a teaser leg that I actually like besides that one. So that is difficult, man. I mean, actually, you could bump the Commanders, actually, or the Redskins, excuse me. Actually, that's probably what I would do. I would take the Commanders up to plus 8.5. The Redskins, that would be the teaser that I would do. I'm giving out a teaser on every show now, but yeah. It has to be at 2.5, though, for the Giants and not 3. So I would take Washington up to plus 8.5 and Broncos up to plus 7.5. That would be the teaser I would do. Okay. But yes, Packers, by the way, the other reason I like them is because they're the more balanced team. Like, yeah, the Broncos have the better defense, so the Packers' defense is also good, and the Packers definitely have the better offense. Broncos' offense is really not good, so the Packers definitely have more balance there, and I think the fact that their offense is better and their defense is fairly comparable, I think that should help them get the job done as well, though that is the reason why the Packers are favored, too. They're actually the better team, so that's what I would do there. Master and Commander, yeah, the Massas, yeah. Not a reference to that movie, I don't think. It's just some vague military reference. It's way too militaristic. It's pretty stupid. A Twinkie, I mean, I don't know. Would you wind up being a snack cake in that scenario? Maybe. I would be a bear as well, though, as a game man, so I wouldn't really be one, no. All right, Panthers Saints also in the 4 p.m. slate here. Panthers are a very public road favorite here. 82% of the tickets, 80% of the cash on them. So I do agree with fading the Panthers in this one. Now, the Panthers, they're coming out of a bye, and they went into that bye on a good note. And I talk about this. When a team goes into the bye on a good note, it's not really a good thing because they don't really have anything to fix. And, like, how can you go into the bye on a better note than pulling off, like, a 10-point upset over the LA Rams, who might be the best team in the NFL right now? Huge win for Carolina, and that's how they went into the bye. I just don't know if they're going to show up here, man. And they do have Tampa Bay next. That is huge because, of course, Carolina, Tampa Bay, these two teams are fighting for the NFC South. One of those teams is going to win the division. So that is a huge game up next. So it is a bit of a look-ahead spot. Now, I have some hesitations with New Orleans, though. One of them is that Carolina lost really ugly at home to New Orleans already. So they fall into that spot that I talked about with Baltimore as well, where Carolina lost as a home favorite to the Saints, okay? And now in that second divisional matchup, they are a road favorite. Just like I said, the Ravens set up that way. So that is a reason to actually lean towards Carolina in the game because they're one of those avenging divisional road favorites in this one. The Saints are also not in a particularly good spot because they just pulled off a big upset at Tampa Bay. So that is maybe a concern that they might be in a letdown spot. So I do worry about that as well. So this definitely is not making my card. But the one thing you might be able to say about New Orleans is that the thing that I always say about teams that are going nowhere and they're dead on the season, what are the types of games they get up for? Primetime games and games where they can play spoiler against a divisional opponent. Well, they can do that here. They have a chance. They just beat Tampa Bay, and they have a chance to do the same thing to Carolina and re-spoil it for Carolina after they just helped Carolina. Now they can hurt them. So I think New Orleans will get up for the game for that reason. So, yeah, slight lean to taking the points at New Orleans in that one for me. Then we have another big game here, Lions-Rams. Rams look like they're getting a lot of the money here, up from 4.5 to 6. 56% of tickets, 78% of the cash on the Rams. I don't know if I agree on this one, though. This is one of the other ones where I don't really have that strong of an opinion on it. This one's one of the hardest ones for me to gauge. Now, the Rams, they just blew out Arizona, so they bounced back nicely from that loss to Carolina. The loss was misleading as well. They had turnovers in the game. They outgained Carolina, I'm pretty sure. So they bounced back with a just destruction of Arizona. And they did outgain Arizona. They dominated them statistically. So not really a misleading result there. Now they are coming back home, only going from Arizona to LA, though. But they do have that huge game that I mentioned already against Seattle on Thursday night. So that is a potential look ahead. Although, do you think the Rams are going to overlook the Lions? I don't really think so. I think it's a big game. Plus, it's the Goff-Stafford thing. You know what I mean? Like, both teams get up for this. However, I still think Goff plays with more of a chip on his shoulder, man, because Stafford is the one of the two quarterbacks who actually won a Super Bowl after that trade, right? Stafford won one with the Rams already. Goff has not won one in his career. So Goff, I think, does play with a chip on his shoulder against Matthew Stafford. Rams are really good at home, 5-1 at home. Lions have been mediocre on the road, 3-3. But for the Lions, they do have extra time off because they played on Thursday. But they looked good on Thursday, and that was a win for us on the show. They beat Dallas and covered on Thursday night. Now they have to go out to the Pacific Coast, although at least for them it's not a late night game. So it's only a 4:25 p.m. game, so they shouldn't be like out of energy or anything like that in this one. Now, the market read does look like it's fairly strong on the Rams in this one. So I haven't really formed a total opinion on this yet. My initial instinct was leaning towards Detroit with the extra rest and with LA having this look ahead to the Seattle next. Detroit kind of needs the game a little bit more, and they're getting a bunch of points. So I talk about how when a team kind of needs the game, I don't love like laying them as a favorite or anything like that because they're probably going to be overvalued in the market. But when they're an underdog and the other team is actually probably being the overvalued team in the market, that is a situation that I don't mind. Where you got Detroit, you like pretty much know you're going to get an effort out of them, and they're an underdog. So I don't know. I mean, I'm slightly kind of leaning towards Detroit in that one, but definitely some concerns with it. Then to finish off the 4 p.m. slate, we have a great one here. Titans 49ers. Niners are 12.5-point favorite. 86% of tickets, 93% of the cash on the Niners. Oh, man. I mean, the Niners, they're coming out of a bye, and I talked about it. I'll talk about it again. The Niners went into the bye on a 3-game win streak. So I say this, I'm going to say it again. When you go into the bye on a good note, it could stop your winning momentum. So I don't like the fact that San Francisco had a bye then, and all the rest of their games on the season are against winning teams, against Indy, Bears, and the Seahawks. So this looks like the down spot in the schedule to me. Remember, they just won't totally show up against Tennessee. Now, Tennessee, they are having to go to the Pacific Coast. It's not that easy. Second straight road game. I do worry about that. But what I like is I do actually like that they beat Cleveland last week in that just game that was way higher scoring than people thought it would be. Tennessee really probably didn't have any business winning that game, but they did. And what that did is it ended a long loss streak for them. So I think that will give Tennessee a little bit of confidence coming into this one. So I would take the points with the Titans. I just don't know that the Niners are going to come in and win this thing by margin. And the Niners, they're still kind of a beat-up team with a decent amount of injuries. But people are also going to see that the Niners beat Cleveland by even more on the road. And, of course, the public's only going to come in on the Niners in this game. So, yeah, I think Tennessee would be a slight opinion for me on that one. Then we have the Sunday night game is Vikings-Cowboys. And the Cowboys look like they're public, and they're now a 5.5-point favorite instead of a 7.5-point favorite. But I'm pretty sure that the 7.5 was the look ahead. So, again, you can't, when you're looking at the numbers here on pregame, you can't really say that that was entirely a just a market move, because this opener was actually the look ahead the previous week. So I think the Cowboys were going to be a 7.5-point favorite. And then what happened? They looked not great against Detroit. They lost to Detroit. The Vikings looked awesome, winning 31-0. So I think that gives us line value on the Dallas side now after that. Even though, Dallas is going to be public, 80% of the tickets, 80% of the cash on them. But I'm still not going to buy J.J. McCarthy, man. He had a good game against Washington. I know Dallas's defense is not good. Washington's is also not good. But Dallas's has been a little bit better recently, at least. And I just don't trust McCarthy at all to string together 2 decent performances. And again, just like I said, with Washington coming off an ugly blowout shutout loss, the team that's on the right side of that, the shutout win, you usually want to fade those teams that pulled off the shutout win in the next game because they're going to be a bit overvalued. So I don't like Minnesota here, man. And Minnesota, they're going to get up for it because it is a game at Jerry's World, whatever, in Dallas. It is a primetime game. So even if Minnesota is done for the season, they will get up for a game like this. Although they do play the Lions and Green Bay to finish off the season. Oh, actually, they play the Giants next. My mistake. So not a look ahead there because they play the Giants next. So, they will get up for it, but I like Dallas here, man. Dallas coming off, again, we saw them play bad on Thursday night. They lost to Detroit, but I predicted that. And now they have extra rest because they didn't play since Thursday. So I think you're going to see a focused Dallas Cowboy team in this one. That is what I expect. I do worry a little bit that you're looking at the Vikings being the better defense getting points, and a lot of times I do like to look that way. That is definitely the case with the Vikings, better defense getting points, but the Cowboys' offense is way better than the Vikings' offense, though, so there's a huge disparity there. And I think, again, the spot is a lot better for the Cowboys. I think you're actually getting line value on them. One other concern, though, would be that the Cowboys are kind of in desperation mode now where they're probably not going to make the playoffs, and they got to win. So you're getting a team that might have a lot of pressure on them here, man. So I don't love laying points in a situation like that. So it's a stay away from me, but I do lean to laying it with Dallas. Then we have Monday night, Dolphins and Steelers. And it looks like the market read is saying the Steelers right now with 50% of the tickets evenly split, 62% of the cash on the Steelers. They're a 3-point favorite at home. It might hit 3.5. Now, are the Steelers going to Mike Tomlin this thing again? I don't know, man. But it seems like the Miami hype is not happening in this game. Miami had all this hype around them, Miami keeps winning. They're going to make the playoffs from out of nowhere. And actually they might, because they're going to catch Cincinnati and Tampa Bay in good spots to catch them. So as crazy as it sounds, Miami might actually make a run to get into the playoffs here. Now, I like Miami in this game, but I have some problems with it. I'll talk about Pittsburgh first because I think Pittsburgh's in a bad spot. I mean, they just beat Baltimore on the road. That's a huge win. They pulled off the upset. They probably deserved to lose with that likely touchdown that was called not a touchdown. Like I said, I think he had control of it in the end zone. I didn't like the call. And Pittsburgh, as I showed you, they got outgained by over 100 yards in that game by Baltimore. So it was a misleading result. It was a huge win, huge upset win. Now they get Miami, and yes, it is a primetime game, so maybe Pittsburgh will show up. But that win against Baltimore also put Pittsburgh in sole possession of first place again here. So I think they're going to be in a letdown spot coming off of that, man. So I do lean to Miami, but my problems with it are, first of all, Miami is coming off a blowout win, although it was only against the Jets. So, I mean, you can't be that impressed by that. But I don't really love jumping on teams that are coming off a blowout win like that. It's a second straight road game, and the biggest concern I have is Tua playing in freezing cold. Now, he did win at the Jets, but like I pointed out, that game was not freezing temps. That game was like in the mid to high 40s. So that was not really a cold weather game. Now, this game is absolutely a cold weather game. Pittsburgh, it's not going to be nice, man. We don't actually, oh no, I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at the Jets game. Hang on. Because the weather forecast should be here. Yeah. In Pittsburgh, it's going to be 19 degrees, and I believe when I heard the weather forecast, they said it was going to be -10 with wind chill, and it's at night, remember. So this is going to be a cold game, man. And Tua is 0-5, I think both straight up and against the spread in freezing temperature games. So his track record is against him in this one, man. And the last time he played in a game that was this cold with like below freezing wind chill, it was that playoff game at Kansas City, and I gave out Kansas City as a play here on the show when that happened a couple years ago. If you guys remember that, it was a win for us with Kansas City. So I like Miami to cover in this one, but there are some real concerns with it, man. So I do worry about it. So I think you got to stay away, even though I lean to Miami getting the points here. But I really worry about the Tua cold weather thing is real, man. He just doesn't do well in these really freezing temps, and that's what it's going to be. Again, a night game. It's going to be as cold as possible. So, yeah, that is worrisome for them. So that's what I look at with that one. I mean, players of color will not play well, yeah. Miami's probably going to try to cool themselves by Miami's probably going to be even chillier, let me say, because they're probably going to have to wear white uniforms. Pittsburgh's probably going to wear their black home uniforms as usual, which should help them trap some heat as well. That's what I meant to say. All right, best bets. Let's go. We got 3 of them here, man. And I still have to figure out, like, for my pick 5, the 5 contest that I'm in, I think one of them is going to be the Colts. And I haven't decided on the other one. It might wind up being the Jets. I mean, I don't know, man. I got to figure it out. But best bets, we're getting to it right now. Let me see. What's the order we're going to do these in? The first one up is going to be the Arizona Cardinals plus 10. Or you might be able to get 10.5 on this now, man. So either way, 10.5. 10.5 is better because 10 is a key number. You can get the hook on this. We're going to take the points with the Arizona Cardinals here, man. 80% of the tickets, 91% of the cash on the Texans. They're going to wind up being a public side, but do you really want to lay double digits with this Texans team where they're basically all defense? Their offense is really, really a struggling offense, man. So I don't know if they're going to be able to get margin for that reason, but it's also not a good spot for Houston because they're coming off of 3 straight big wins where they won for us on the show. They won Mr. Thursday night, getting it right with Houston beating Buffalo in primetime on Thursday night. That was a huge win. The next week, what did they do? They went into Indy and they beat Indy, still with Daniel Jones at the time, and that was a huge divisional win at the time to get back into the race in the division for Houston. And then they turned around and what did they do? They beat us on Sunday night. They beat Kansas City, so everybody saw that. Houston went into Kansas City and beat them, and it was even bigger because Houston had not been a really good cold weather team, as I pointed out. C.J. Stroud had not won a game from December onward outdoors. He hadn't won one in his career yet, and they got the win there. And again, it was a little bit misleading. It was a close game statistically. Patrick Mahomes had 3 interceptions in the game. It was a very un-Mahomes-like performance in that game, man. So it was kind of a misleading result. Everybody saw it. Everybody saw Houston get that win, but it was even bigger because it was double playoff revenge, I believe, for Houston. I'm pretty sure that Houston was knocked out of the playoffs each of the last 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, by Kansas City. Or no, it was once. No, it was once. I think they lost to Kansas City in the regular season the other time. My mistake. But it was playoff revenge because Kansas City eliminated them last year. So that was a huge win for Houston for all those reasons. After that string of wins, I just don't know what we're going to get out of them here, man. I think it might be a flat spot here, even though, yeah, they got to keep playing, but that was big as far as the wild card implications, man. The fact that they beat Buffalo and Kansas City, so they have the tiebreaker in the wild card against both of those teams. Beating Indy, also huge, because now they have a tiebreaker over them too, and that's a divisional opponent. They already have a tiebreaker over the Ravens as well, if the Ravens are going to be in the wild card hunt. So all of that was a huge win for so many reasons, man. Now, they're not going to really be looking ahead to the Raiders, I wouldn't think, but I just think this is a massive letdown spot. And for Arizona, I just think they're going to show up, man, after an embarrassing loss to the Rams. I mean, Arizona has not been embarrassed that often this season. If you look at their losses on the season, I know their record is terrible at 3-10, but their losses are by 1-3, 1-4, 4. And then they had a blowout loss at Seattle, but the yardage was really close in that game. They actually outgained San Francisco in the game that they got destroyed in that game. Then they lost by 3 in a game that we lost on it by a half point. They probably should have won against Jacksonville. Then they lost again by 3. And then last week, yeah, this one was not really misleading. Yes, they got blown out by the Rams, but I think they're going to come off of that and actually show up for a game. And I know I usually say that a dead team like Arizona, they're only going to show up for divisional spoiler games and for primetime games, but I think they will show up in this one just because no team wants to get embarrassed like they did last week. So I think they are going to show up with some effort in this one, even though I know they are zigzagging kind of across the country, which I don't love. They had to go to Tampa, then back to Arizona. Now, it's only Arizona to Texas, though, so it's not really a huge leg there of a journey, and you're getting a lot of points here in this one. So, and again, I don't really understand the move because it looks like the Texans were going to be a 7-point favorite on the look ahead, and now they're 10.5 just because of what we saw last week, pretty much. Like, there's no quarterback switch or anything like that here. It is going to be Jacoby Brissett against C.J. Stroud. So, I don't know. But we're taking the points with Arizona. That's the first play there. You had the Pens in regulation. That sucks. I didn't see what happened in the game. That was a game I had a lot of difficulty trying to handicap that. Best bets, yes, sir. All right, next up, the next game is, let me see, what else do we have here? Oh, yes. My favorite one, man, this is a sandwich spot. We're going to take the Cleveland Browns plus 7.5. You knew this was coming. We're going to fade the Chicago Bears, baby. And this is a low total, by the way, of 38. So you know I like taking points when it's supposed to be a bad offensive game. And I think we do have 2 bad offenses here. You know me, I don't like Shedeur Sanders or Caleb Williams. I think they're both ass. So it's like, which one of these quarterbacks do I want to play when I can't stand either of them? And I don't think either of them are any good. Well, we're going with the spot here. We're going to take Cleveland. 79% of tickets, 87% of the cash on the Bears for now. But, I mean, I think they're going to be a public side, man. The public is still going to be on the Bears. They're not going to knock the Bears for playing really close against Green Bay. But that is exactly why we're going to fade Chicago in this spot, man. Chicago, they did have that huge game against Green Bay, man, and they almost were able to tie that at the end if you saw that. Or they actually probably would have gone for a 2-point conversion if they scored. But I don't know if you saw that. But the Bears, they were down multiple scores in that game at multiple points. They cut it back to 7. They had a drive right at the end of the game where they could have scored. They were deep in Green Bay territory. Could have scored the potentially game-tying touchdown or maybe even game-winning touchdown. And what did they do? They had to put it in Caleb Williams' hands, and he threw a horrendous interception right near the goal line, and that's how they lost. That is a massively deflating loss, man. And they had beaten Philadelphia on Black Friday on the road the game before that. So they've actually played 3 games on the road in their last 4 games. So they've been all over the place. And that loss to Green Bay, not only was it a heartbreaking loss and a huge divisional game, and it cost them first place, but they lost a huge win streak. So I think for all those reasons, it's going to be a massive hangover spot here. Oh, and by the way, I said it was a sandwich. Yeah. Who do they play next? Oh, yeah, they play Green Bay next, and that's going to be one of those Saturday NFL games where the Saturday games are starting now. So they have a short week, and they have to play Green Bay again in revenge, which is, of course, a huge divisional game too. So I don't see them showing up for this game against Cleveland, man. And again, I don't see a Caleb Williams-led offense doing this. And how many times has Chicago won by a margin like this? So Chicago, they were a public road underdog last week, and now they've switched from being a 7-point dog against Green Bay, or 6.5-point dog, to now a 7.5-point favorite. I don't like that either. When you see a team go from a big dog one week and the public was on them, and now the public is on them again, but now they're a big favorite the next week, I don't like that either, man. I think there is some value in fading them. And if you look at what the Bears have done, they face an easy schedule. I keep talking about how the Bears are extremely overrated. And how many times have they won by margin? They did it against Dallas, where they caught Dallas in a spot that was really bad for Dallas. Then they won by 1-1. They beat New Orleans by margin, which was a loss for us on the show, but it's New Orleans. They suck. Then they won by 5-4, 2-3. And then, yes, they did win by 9 at Philadelphia, but still, they're not winning by margin here, man. So you're basically asking them to do that here against Cleveland. And by the way, Cleveland absolutely has the better defense here. So that's another thing where you're getting points with the better defense. And I think the defense will show up because Myles Garrett is going for like some overall sack record, I think. So Myles Garrett is chasing, I think, the NFL's like career sack record, I think, is what he's actually chasing. So he needs like 2.5 more. So he's going to be balling out, I think, man, and trying to get to Caleb Williams here. So you got that going. Yes, I know the Browns are bad on the road, 1-5, but we don't need them to win. We only need them to cover. Bears are good at home, 4-1, but as I talked about, they don't really cover. They don't win by margin that often. Horrible spot for the Bears, and yeah, I mean, I don't know if there was anything else I was going to point out. Yeah, the one thing I do worry about, oh yeah, this is what I was going to say, is that Cleveland, I know I'm going to say it again, when a team is dead like Cleveland, I say that they're only going to get up for primetime games and divisional spoiler games, and this is neither of those, but I still think they're going to get up for it because they just lost at home to the Tennessee Titans, dude. I mean, come on. It doesn't get much worse than that, losing as a home favorite to the Titans, so I think they're going to be up for that reason, and they're going to want to play for Shedeur Sanders, man, even though I don't like him, I don't think he's good, but Sanders, he's a rookie, man, so the team's not going to abandon a rookie quarterback who's playing like he's making like his third start ever. Yeah, I mean, they're not going to abandon a quarterback that's in that position. You know what I mean? They'll show up for that quarterback. So I expect them to show up for that reason. So we're going to take the Browns plus the points in that one. Dirty Sock, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Thank you, sir. Yes, that's right. Oh, look at this. Everybody go on Twitter for XComer0, and everybody go shit on this stupid fuck. Look at this guy. What a fucking asshole. Fuck off. Get out of my fucking stream, you bitch. I'm banning him, by the way. Suck my cock, you fucking dick. Yeah, you're glad I lost my job? Eat my ass, fucker. Yeah, also, yeah. Oh, it's fun to just play with people's lives like that, isn't it? Yeah, when I'm just a normal dude. But guess what? I've made more money already in like less than 2 decades than you'll make in your entire life, you piece of shit. I've made a ton of fucking money, dickwad. Everybody go on Twitter and, yeah, fucking slam that guy's DMs. I don't care. Fucking shit on that guy. XComer0. I'm gonna do it too, so fuck him. All right. I'm giving out gold on this show, too. My NFL has been awesome. Last play is the Buffalo Bills, -1. That's what we're going to do here. And by the way, I forgot to mention, because Packers-Broncos also falls into this scenario, this is ridiculous. So we have, in the NFL, there's only been one time ever where a team won 10 games in a row and then they were a home underdog in the following game. The only time it ever happened was the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots in, I believe, 2005, and the Steelers lost that game. Of course, the Patriots won the Super Bowl yet again that year. That was the only time that that's ever happened. A team had won 10 games in a row, and then they were a home underdog. Well, it's happening twice this week, and it's these two games. Packers-Broncos has won. The Broncos have won 10 games in a row, and they're an underdog at home. And the Patriots have won 10 games in a row, and they're an underdog at home. So that is crazy. And I know there's no real historical trend when it's only happened once, but it's just insane. And I think the odds makers really, they're just telling you something, man. There's a reason why both those teams are home underdogs, and it's because they're playing a team that's actually better than they are. So I said the Packers are better than the Broncos. Well, the Bills are better than the Patriots, too, and the odds makers are telling you that. And I think there's value as well here because the Bills, they were an 8.5 point favorite at home against the Patriots. And yes, the Patriots are probably better than we thought they were at that point. Patriots won that game outright, but that was a game of inches, really, man. But the Patriots easily could have lost that game if one play went differently. They won by 3. Yes, it was a huge win for the Patriots, but if the Bills were an 8.5 point favorite at home, and these teams probably only get at most like 2 points, maybe for home field, then the Bills should really be like basically a field goal favorite here. They should probably be about -3. So you're actually getting value on the Bills here, man. It looks like they have 60% of tickets, 56% of the cash right now, but I don't really buy that the Bills are going to be a public side here. Like, why would the public fade New England when you're asking basically just which team is going to win the game? New England already won at Buffalo, and New England hasn't lost since like week 3. So, yeah, I don't buy that the public is going to be off of New England here. Now, that sets up a scenario that I talked about already that applies to the Ravens and the Panthers, although I said I don't like the Panthers this week. I do like the Ravens, and I really like Buffalo, but Buffalo is in that same scenario where they lost the first divisional matchup as a home favorite, and now they're a road favorite in the avenging role on the road the second time on the season. So Buffalo falls into that spot. So I like Buffalo for that reason. Now, Buffalo is coming off a win against Cincinnati, but Cincinnati's just down this year, man. I know it was Cincinnati with Burrow, but Buffalo probably could have and maybe should have won that game by more than they did. They did outstat Cincinnati in the game. The game was close, although Burrow threw a pick 6, and Buffalo was actually winning by margin right near the end of that game, and then they gave up a backdoor cover actually right at the end, although Cincinnati was winning the game for a lot of it. But Buffalo, basically, they didn't play well as a favorite there. So now Buffalo, yes, I know they're playing a third straight road game in 4 weeks, so I worry about that a little bit. But most of it, there wasn't much traveling, man. I mean, they were only in Pittsburgh, then back in Buffalo, and now they're at New England. That's not that much travel. They go to New England every year, so that's not bad either. It might snow up here in New England, but you're talking about the Buffalo Bills. You think they're going to be thrown off by a snow game? Obviously not. I'm pretty sure their game last week was in snow in Buffalo. I think it was snowing last week. So, yeah, they're not going to be thrown off by snow. And, in fact, guess who might be impacted negatively more by the snow? Yeah, that would be the quarterback that played at North Carolina, Drake May. I don't think he's really played like a snow game yet, man. So he might actually be more impacted by a snow game if it is going to be a snow game. Josh Allen will be the quarterback that'll handle it better for sure. So I like all that. And then New England, I think New England's in a terrible spot. And I already talked about how New England has faced a very easy schedule, which they have. I mean, they've had the weakest schedule in the entire league this year, man. They have their one really good win was the one at Buffalo. And since then, what have they done? They beat Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay's fallen apart. I mean, they've had an unbelievably weak schedule. All the rest of their wins are against losing teams. Miami, Carolina, I guess, is technically a winning team now. New Orleans, Tennessee, Atlanta, Cleveland, the Jets, Cincinnati, which was, I believe, still without Joe Burrow at the time, right? That was Flacco. And then the Giants. This has been an unbelievably easy schedule for New England. Oh, yeah. And what did I say earlier in the show? New England's coming out of a bye. And when I talk about this, when you go into a bye in a good note, it tends to be a momentum stopper. Well, how could you possibly go into the bye on a better note than winning 10 games in a row and then going into the bye? So I think this is a very disadvantageous bye, man. I mean, you do not want anything to stop your momentum when you've won 10 games in a row. This is something that basically is never going to happen. Having a bye interfering with a 10-game win streak. Yeah, this looks bad, man. I think New England might drop 2 games in a row here because they do have to go to the Ravens next. So, yeah, I think Buffalo's going to get this one, man. Maybe we do have to worry a little bit about what happened today because I don't know if you saw, but Buffalo, their hotel is in the Providence, Rhode Island area. And I don't know if they were doing that to try to avoid having New England figure out where their hotel is because if you remember under the Belichick regime, the Patriots, fans and the organization were always fucking with the opponent's hotel. But the opponents were almost always in a hotel in Boston at like Logan Airport for whatever reason. So like the opponents were always getting fucked with and having like fire alarms pulled and all this shit. So I think maybe that's why Buffalo is saying, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to stay in Providence. Providence is actually, I think, closer to Foxborough anyway than Boston is. Foxborough is kind of between the two. But Buffalo is staying in Providence, and there was a shooting at their hotel. If you didn't see, I think there were 2 people killed and 8 people injured in a mass shooting event, if you want to call it that, like at or near their hotel. Now, it didn't affect anybody on the Buffalo Bills team or whatever, but still, that's kind of crazy. So I guess the question is, well, first of all, did New England do... No, I'm just kidding. Is New England fucking with Buffalo that much? Was it Josh McDaniel? You know, they get the composite of the composite sketch of the shooter. Holy crap, that looks a lot like Josh McDaniels, man. No, I don't think that's what happened. But how is Buffalo going to respond to this? You know, I talked about it with Dallas when they were coming out of their bye, when they had their player who committed suicide. Nealand, I think was his name. I think that it's going to be something that, if anything, it'll rally the team even more. Like if they were at a hotel where a mass shooting happened, you know, a tragic event like that, I think they're going to want to get out and play some football, man. I think it's going to motivate them more. They can use the football game to focus on the game and not focus on what just happened at the hotel. So I actually think it might motivate Buffalo a little bit more. So we're on the Buffalo Bills, and that's it, man. That's all of it this week. Those are all the games this week. Here we go. Yes, get on Twitter. Yes, sir. Sports Encyclopedia. Well, not since my stroke, really, but I've been like that for like my entire life, basically. Yeah. My sports knowledge is insane. I don't really think it is. I don't know the personnel that well at all. Yeah, game of inches. Yeah. Yeah, that happens to me a lot. Yeah. A classy hotel. I'm pretty sure that like New England, like the Patriots, like would pay for their opponent's hotel, I think, or whatever, and put them up in a particular hotel. But like all the fans knew where the hotel was, and like and the Patriots staffed it, and they would definitely go in and like pull fire alarms at like 3 or 4 in the morning and stuff the night before the game. It was bullshit, but that's what they did. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, it was some hotel near Logan Airport, I'm pretty sure. But I'm assuming that the hotel that Buffalo's in is probably a good hotel in Providence. Like, I don't think they're going to stay in some crap hotel. They're probably staying in a good one, but shootings happen everywhere now, man. You can't avoid it. You know what I mean? Like, you go into the city, especially in Boston, where everything's really close. It's like you're on, like, Newbury Street, which is, like, the rich shopping area in Boston, and there are just homeless people still, like, basically everywhere right near there, like, druggies everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, you can't avoid it. The rich have to mingle with it. It's like, dude, like, these rich elite, like, you know, New Englanders, whatever, the coastal liberal elites, like, do you not see, like, that you're having to walk through, like, this disaster every single day? Why do you keep voting for it? Like, what are you doing? Although voting isn't going to do anything anyway. And now we have, you know, an unelected communist mayor is what we have in Boston now. She ran unopposed, so she didn't even get elected in this one. She had no opponent. So we have a communist dictatorship in Boston. So isn't that just awesome? All right, that's going to do it. I got to get some sleep and whatever. Once again, the NFL plays tomorrow are the Cleveland Browns plus the points. Actually, I think I talked about Arizona first, but Arizona plus the points. Hopefully you can get the hook on that, but I would still take the plus 10 as well. And Buffalo. -1, 1.5, not much of a difference. If you find a good money line price, obviously that's fine as well. Those are the plays. I'll be back tomorrow morning because there's probably some NHL and NBA to talk about tomorrow, I assume. So we'll talk about that. It'll be a short morning video probably. We'll do the final NFL market read. And I'll talk about today, which was a winning day, so I'm happy about that. Thank you, sir. I was going to run, actually. But Josh Kraft was running, and he is the son of Robert Kraft, the Patriots owner. And he was running, I believe, still as a Democrat, but he was opposing Mayor Wu from the right, but he dropped out of the race. It's just totally ridiculous. But he was like saying some things that were like, all right, like he was taking more of a right-wing stance on a bunch of things than Wu was. So at least there was that, even though he's still, a progressive Democrat, which I don't like, but he was almost turning into more of like I don't know if we want to say like a Kennedy Democrat, but that's kind of what he was trying to do, I think. But I don't know why he dropped out. Because, like, dude, Wu does not have any actual support. Like, she's the first mayor in my lifetime that was not a Bostonian. Like, all the mayors that we've had prior to her were born and bred Bostonian. Like, Boston accent. These guys, they get elected because they're, like, the dudes. Like people grew up with these dudes, you know what I mean? Even if you don't like I didn't like Mayor Walsh at all. He was a unionist, but still, like you had guys like that. Like it was obvious why they got elected. Mayor Menino was the best, by the way, R.I.P. because he was just so stupid that he never really was able to do anything that bad. He was just kind of a bumbling fool, and it was hilarious. Seemed like a guy you wanted to hang out with, though, so which is probably why he got elected and reelected. But, yeah, I don't know if he got blackmailed or not because, Kraft, they're all on the side of Israel and whatever. So let's not get my channel nuked here. Everybody go after XComer0 on Twitter. Tell him he's an ass. And that's going to do it for now. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe, give me good replies on the channel here. Go listen on audio. Give me, good review on audio. That's good. All that helps. Covered in Uke on YouTube is my YouTube Uke channel. Patreon.com/LearnToToad. And you can get some bonus Uke stuff there. Plus requests. Sorry, Charles. Dude, I got to look to see if you gave me a Christmas one or whatever. I apologize, but my voice is also not great right now either, but I also got to figure out, because I have subscriptions on Twitter now, so I might put some of the Uke content behind it to try to get more people to subscribe, because it's like, well, what other content do I have that people really like, you know what I mean? So that's probably what I'm going to do, so check that out. Justin, thanks for hanging out, man. Good night to you as well. Nate, yes, Mumbles Menino, that was his name. The best one was when he called Rajon Rondo Hondo. That's the one that everybody remembers, man, when he was talking about the Celtics after they won, because I think he was still mayor then in 2008 or whatever. We got Hondo over here. You can go find that clip. It's pretty hilarious. Oh, he went on Jim Rome or whatever. I forgot about that show. Hell yeah. Mayor, we need a mayor like that again at the very least, even though he was a Democrat, so he sucked still, but he was at least hilarious. You gave me a metal Christmas song. I've done Steel Panther before. If that's what it is, I don't know. Thank you, sir. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. I appreciate it. And you can check out my other podcast as well, by the way, Losercast. That's out. Both episodes are actually on the Losercast YouTube channel now as well, which we might not be able to keep them up there. I got to ask Leighton about that because we're probably too offensive, but that's the new comedy podcast that I'm on where we nominate losers every week. And then the G-Spot Giants podcast probably will begin tomorrow with me and Ben. We're either going to live stream the Giants-Redskins game or we're going to do a post-game show. I don't know what we're going to do yet, but we'll figure it out. So something like that is starting. He's doing it all, so I don't even know if the YouTube is set up or whatever, but be on the lookout for that, I guess, as well. That's going to do it, man. Peace out until tomorrow morning.